It's been some sort of a subdued day on the local market. Not much happening, not much movements, that is. Preston Narainsamy is from the Nedbank Private Wealth Group. He joins me now. Preston, thanks indeed for your time. So we had this interest rate hike today. Normally, you would see retail stocks reacting negatively to this because people have less money to spend now with interest rates going up. What reaction have you seen to that rate hike on the market?
Good evening, Devon. Yeah, we saw immediately after that hike, we did see the banks, take off quite a bit. So most of our local banks finished up the day around 1% or 2% higher. And of course, Devon, the banks in particular, that's immediate margin expansion, particularly on the lending side. So they're the immediate beneficiaries in a high interest rate environment. But more or less across the board, Devon, the market was more or less mixed. I think, we've had a strong market, even in the last 2 weeks, despite, the likes of the Nasdaq and the S&P both losing more than 10%. Our market's been pretty resilient. So it's held up fairly well. In terms of our bond market as well. We've seen, in the last 2 weeks, we've seen actually foreigners return and start to buy some of our longer dated bonds, so some hunt for yield back on the table there. So yeah, by and large, Devon, our stocks held up pretty well today. Banks having a good day, but a mixed bag across the board. I think on the retail side, we saw the likes of ShopRite have quite a good day, really good trading update today. And some of the discretionary retailers as well. Lewis, another one, releasing an update today, so the market liking it. That share as well finishing up around 1%, but more or less a mixed bag on the market today, Devon.
I want to look at South Africa's largest non-grocery retailer, like Pepkor, for example, right? I mean, I see their trading update not great as well. But again, I mean, I'm wondering whether or not the interest rate decision actually affects a group like this. But as I recall, much of their concern was around what happened to them during those July riots. I mean, they had 99 stores or somewhat affected.
100%, Devon. Yeah, they got really hurt during those riots. And, across the board, even their home improvement part of the business, that was really disappointing. More or less in line with what we saw yesterday from Cashbuild. So it looks as if, people staying at home, working on their houses, almost looks as if, that traction's or that momentum's reducing. But by and large, the Pep and Ackerman business in particular, it held up fairly well, Devon. I think we mustn't look too closely into these recent numbers. I think because of the school holidays as well, I think kids go back to school a little bit later this year. So a lot of that trade, of parents buying school uniforms and the likes, it'll probably filter through in the next set of results. But yeah, by and large, I wasn't all that impressed with the results. Sales were up just 1% or so for a company trading at a 17, 18 times PE, to deliver 1% growth in sales was a little bit disappointing. So it does look as if, the consumer, even in that space, lower LSM, still under quite a bit of pressure. Debt to disposable income for that consumers still pretty elevated for the SA consumer in general. So of course, some pressures filtering in there. So not the best of results. With that being said, Devon, two retailers that did give decent results today, both ShopRite and Lewis. ShopRite in particular, I just want to quickly talk about that. Excellent sales growth, more than 10%, eating their peers' lunch, delivering, really well on market share gains. And it's just interesting to see this business on the digitization side really gaining a lot of traction there. It looks like they really have a competitive advantage relative to their peers, and they're ahead of the curve. If you look at their 60/60 and the extra rewards, initiatives that they've launched, really doing well for the business. So one to watch, and certainly looking attractive at this 200 Rand level, Devon.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, but thanks very much indeed for those insights there. Preston Narainsamy is with Nedbank Private Wealth. All right.